The call from beyond. The message came through on a cold Tuesday morning, crackling across subspace frequencies that Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station wasn't even supposed to be able to receive. Lieutenant Commander Samira Karim nearly spilled her coffee as the translation matrix struggled to decipher the alien transmission. This is the Nilari Collective. Our worlds, burning. The Drakari harvest our people. We beg. Anyone, help us. The message repeated 3 times before dissolving into static. Samira's fingers flew across her console, preserving every fragment, running authentication protocols even as she alerted her superiors. Within 6 hours, humanity's top military and political leaders convened in the orbital United Space Command headquarters. Earth had established its first interstellar colonies barely 15 years ago. Contact with non-human intelligence had been limited to microbial discoveries and ancient ruins. This was humanity's first live distress call from another spacefaring species. Admiral Viktor Petrov, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic star chart between them, addressed the gathered officials. We've confirmed the signal originated from the HD 83443 system, approximately 43 light-years from Earth. The Nilari appear to be an aquatic species with modest space capabilities. And these Drakari? Asked UN Secretary-General Amara Okafor, her expression grave. Based on the data packet accompanying the distress call, they're a highly advanced insectoid species that systematically strip planets of resources, including organic matter. The Admiral's voice hardened. They don't merely conquer, they consume. The chamber erupted with questions and concerns. Earth's modest defense fleet consisted of just 12 combat-capable vessels, primarily designed for protecting human colonies from pirates and securing trade routes, not facing an interstellar threat capable of destroying entire civilizations. Representative Chen Liang from the East Asian Alliance rose. With respect, Admiral, this isn't our fight. We've barely established our interstellar presence. What could we possibly contribute against an enemy capable of such destruction? I understand your concern, Admiral Petrov replied. But consider the implications. If we ignore this call, and the Drakari continue their expansion, how long before they reach our space? The Nilari are 43 light-years away. That's our neighborhood. The room fell silent as the main screen displayed recovered footage from the Nilari transmission. The video showed graceful, bioluminescent beings with elongated limbs fleeing through coral-like structures. Behind them, massive mechanical forms with insectoid features methodically harvested everything, ripping materials from buildings, sorting them into collection units, and worst of all, capturing Nilari civilians who were loaded into processing chambers. The footage shifted to orbital views showing massive ships hovering above an azure planet, energy beams carving into the surface below. The final sequence revealed Nilari children, unmistakable despite their alien features, being sheltered by adults as structures collapsed around them. This is genocide, whispered Dr. Elena Volkov, Earth's foremost xenobiologist. They're not just taking resources, they're processing sentient beings. The debate raged for 3 days. Security experts warned of exposure. Humanitarian groups argued for immediate aid. Military advisors presented sobering assessments of Earth's capabilities against a potentially superior force. Captain Maya Chen watched the deliberations with growing impatience. At 38, she commanded the USC Thunderbolt, humanity's most advanced warship, a prototype vessel with experimental weapons systems that had never been tested in actual combat. On the 3rd day, she requested permission to address the council. The Nilari didn't call for a committee, she said, her voice steady but intense. They called for help. While we debate, their worlds burn. My ship is ready. My crew is willing. Let us answer. Admiral Petrov studied her. The Thunderbolt is our only phase shift capable vessel. If you fail, we lose our most advanced technology. And if we do nothing, we lose something far more important, Chen replied. Our humanity. After 24 more hours of deliberation, Earth voted. The decision wasn't unanimous, but it was decisive. Humanity would respond. 4 days later, the Thunderbolt dropped out of phase space at the edge of the Nilari system, accompanied by 3 support vessels carrying humanitarian supplies and additional troops. Captain Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Multiple Drakari signatures detected," reported Lieutenant Raj Sharma, her tactical officer. 23 vessels of various sizes. Most appear to be harvester craft with escort frigates. His eyes widened. "They're ignoring us. They don't consider us a threat." Captain Chen's lips curved into a grim smile. "That's their first mistake." The Thunderbolt's advanced stealth systems allowed Chen to position her small fleet strategically throughout the system's outer reaches. Rather than gathering in one location, a sure way to attract attention, she ordered them to split up. 4 ships scattered across billions of kilometers of space. The scout drones deployed silently, accelerating toward the Drakari harvesting operations. Within hours, they were transmitting detailed information about Drakari technology, communication patterns, and defensive capabilities. They rely heavily on automated systems, Lieutenant Commander Fatima Al-Zahawi noted, analyzing the incoming data. And their communication frequencies operate on a narrow band. It's efficient but vulnerable. Chen finished her thought. Prepare the EMP packages. Earth had perfected electromagnetic pulse technology centuries ago. The packages they had brought were specially calibrated to disrupt electronic systems without causing permanent damage. A precision instrument rather than a blunt weapon. "Captain, incoming transmission from the Nilari," announced Communications Officer Davi Santos. "They've detected our presence and are requesting contact." Chen straightened her uniform. "Put them through." The view screen activated, showing a Nilari face. The alien had iridescent blue-green skin that pulsed with inner light, large compound eyes, and gill-like structures along an elongated neck. "I am Teledor, coordinator of the remaining Nilari forces," the alien spoke, translation software converting the musical tones into smooth English. "You have come from Earth." "Yes," Chen confirmed. "I am Captain Maya Chen of the Earth Defense Vessel Thunderbolt. We received your distress call." Teledor's eyes flickered with a pulse of light that Chen would later learn indicated profound emotion. "You are so different from us in form, yet you came. We had not expected a response. The Drakari have driven most species into hiding or extinction." "We're not most species," Chen replied simply. "We have a plan to disrupt their operations, but we need your cooperation. Can you provide us with access to your hidden base in the asteroid belt?" The Nilari leader hesitated only briefly before replying. "For the first time since the invasion began, Captain Chen of Earth, we dare to hope." 48 hours later, Captain Chen's strategy was ready. Rather than engaging the Drakari directly in ship-to-ship combat, a battle they would surely lose, she deployed her 4 vessels in a scattered formation. Each took position near a different Drakari supply route. "Remember, timing is everything," Chen instructed her fleet. "We strike simultaneously, then immediately relocate as per the planned coordinates." The human ships launched their attack with surgical precision. EMP packages detonated near Drakari harvesters, temporarily disabling their systems. Earth's fighters swooped in during the confusion, targeting propulsion systems and communication arrays before disappearing back into the vastness of space. "Hit and run," Chen explained to Teledor, who watched in amazement from the Nilari asteroid base, where Lieutenant Commander Al-Zahawi had established a joint command center. "We can't match them for firepower, so we don't try." The Drakari response was slow and confused. Their ships, suddenly unable to communicate effectively with each other, fired blindly into empty space, while the human vessels were already elsewhere. "They don't understand what's happening," Teledor observed, bioluminescent patterns rippling across their skin in what the humans had learned indicated wonder. "They're used to overwhelming force against defenseless opponents. This kind of asymmetric warfare is unfamiliar to them. The pattern continued for days. The human ships would appear, strike vulnerable targets, and vanish before the Dracari could mount an effective response. Earth fighters deployed mines along supply routes. Small automated drones attached themselves to Dracari vessels, transmitting location data and disrupting internal communications. When the Dracari finally organized a coordinated response, they found their communications disrupted by precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses, a human specialty the aliens had never encountered. Their command ships, unable to direct their forces effectively, began to pull back from the outer colonies. "We've forced them to abandon 2 harvesting outposts," Sharma reported with barely contained excitement. "They're consolidating their forces around the gas giant in Sector 4. On the tactical display, the red indicators representing Dracari ships slowly retreated from the outermost planets. Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction, but kept her expression neutral. "Maintain pressure on their supply lines," she ordered, "and prepare for their counterattack. They won't stay confused forever." In the Nilari Command Center, Al-Zahawi stood beside Telidor as they watched another Dracari harvester retreat from the system's edge. The Nilari's skin pulsed with bright patterns of amazement. "How?" Telidor asked, appendages gesturing with emotion. "No one has ever forced the Dracari back. Not in all our recorded history." Al-Zahawi's eyes remained fixed on the display where Captain Chen's ships continued their dance of approach and withdrawal, striking where the enemy was weakest and never staying in one place long enough to be caught. "They've never faced humans before," she replied simply. In the silence that followed, both human and Nilari knew that this was just the beginning. The Dracari would adapt. They would learn. But humanity had shown something crucial, that the supposedly invincible harvesters had weaknesses, and that sometimes the most important battle was simply finding the courage to fight back. Forged in fire, the Dracari Supreme Commander's chamber pulsed with an unsettling crimson light. Segmented limbs twitched as the towering figure, more machine than insect, reviewed the battle reports on organic displays that flowered from the walls. 3 harvesting outposts lost. Supply lines disrupted. Processing quotas unmet for the first time in 17 cycles. The Supreme Commander's voice resonated through the chamber, a mix of chittering clicks and synthetic tones. Unacceptable. The intelligence officer, a smaller Dracari with fewer mechanical augmentations, approached cautiously. "Supreme Commander, we have underestimated these humans. They do not fight as expected. They strike and vanish. Our sensors cannot track them efficiently. Then we will crush them with overwhelming force," the Supreme Commander decided. "Dispatch the main battle fleet, all of it." Within hours, 47 Dracari warships began moving toward the inner Nilari system. Each was a massive construct of dark chitinous material and crystalline weapons arrays, bristling with harvester arms repurposed for combat. They'd moved in perfect formation, like a swarm of predatory insects. Earth's small fleet detected the approaching armada immediately. "They've committed their entire battle group," Captain Chen reported to Earth Command. "This is no longer a skirmish. They're bringing everything they have." Admiral Petrov's holographic form flickered slightly before the bridge crew of the Thunderbolt. "We anticipated this, Captain. The Dracari aren't accustomed to resistance. Now we implement Phase 2. Authorization code: Prometheus." Chen nodded, understanding the reference to the mythological figure who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity. "Acknowledged, Admiral." Prometheus protocols engage. Throughout the human fleet, locked weapons bays began to open, revealing systems that had been classified even to Earth's own colonists. Rail guns capable of accelerating projectiles to near-relativistic speeds. Plasma torpedoes designed specifically for void warfare. Targeting systems incorporating the latest in quantum computing. But most importantly, the Thunderbolt's experimental phase shift drive powered up. Unlike conventional FTL systems, the phase shift technology didn't just move a ship through space. It temporarily shifted the vessel partially out of normal spacetime, allowing it to momentarily exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Deploy the Nilari evacuation transports, Chen ordered. All combat personnel to battle stations. Activate Prometheus systems and prepare for dimensional warfare. Lieutenant Commander Al-Zahawi returned from the Nilari base just in time for the operation. The Nilari survivors are safely aboard our evacuation vessels, she reported. All non-essential personnel have been transferred to the support ships. Telidor has requested to remain aboard as an observer. Chen raised an eyebrow. Approved, but keep them in the secure observation deck. This is going to get rough. As the massive Drakari fleet approached, the human vessels seemed to scatter in disarray, exactly what the Supreme Commander expected. They flee, the commander chittered to the bridge crew. Predictable. Pursue and annihilate. Priority on capturing their flagship intact. I want their technology. What the Drakari didn't realize was that the human retreat was strategically drawing the alien fleet into a carefully planned formation. The smaller Earth vessels led the predatory ships on a chase through the debris field of a shattered moon. Remnants of an earlier Drakari attack. They're in position, Sharma reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. All vessels report ready. Chen took a deep breath. Initiate Prometheus protocol. Phase shift in 3, 2, 1. Engage. The Thunderbolt shuddered as its revolutionary drive activated. For a fraction of a second, the massive warship existed in 12 different locations simultaneously, each iteration positioning itself behind a different Drakari vessel. Conventional physics dictated this was impossible. The Drakari sensors, bound by those same physical laws, couldn't process what was happening. By the time they recognized the threat, 12 of their ships had been struck by precisely targeted railgun projectiles, traveling at 0.15 C. The kinetic impact alone was devastating, but the specially designed warheads carried an additional surprise. Nanite swarms programmed to infiltrate and disrupt Drakari systems. First wave successful, Sharma announced as the Thunderbolt reintegrated into a single vessel, the enormous energy drain of the phase shift causing secondary systems to momentarily flicker. 12 enemy vessels critically damaged. Continue the attack pattern, Chen ordered, her face illuminated by the tactical displays. We can't maintain this advantage for long. The Drakari responded with furious but increasingly disorganized attacks. Their perfect formation dissolved as ships began experiencing cascading systems failures from the nanite infiltration. The insectoid aliens, accustomed to overwhelming technological superiority, found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Supreme Commander, the intelligence officer reported urgently, the human flagship appears to be utilizing some form of dimensional manipulation technology. Our sensors cannot maintain lock. The smaller vessels are deploying some kind of self-replicating electronic warfare systems that are compromising our network integrity. The massive Drakari leader chittered in rage, multiple limbs striking the command console. Impossible. They are a primitive species. They cannot possess such technology. Evidently, Supreme Commander, our intelligence on Earth was incomplete. Aboard the Thunderbolt, Chen monitored the battle with intense focus. The phase shift system was designed for only 5 jumps before requiring a full reactor cooldown. They had already used 3. Nilari evacuation transports clear of the combat zone. Communications Officer Santos reported. Support vessels standing by at the rally point. 2 more jumps, Chen murmured, studying the tactical display. We need to make them count. She pointed to a cluster of Drakari command ships. There, target their command and control nexus. The Thunderbolt phased again, this time appearing simultaneously at 7 different points surrounding the Drakari command vessels. Rail guns fired in perfect synchronization, followed by plasma torpedoes that opened brilliant blue-white flowers of destruction in the vacuum. As the ship reintegrated, warning lights flashed across the bridge. Phase shift capacitors at critical levels, Chief Engineer Rodriguez warned over the comm. One more jump, Captain, then we're conventional for at least 6 hours. Chen nodded grimly. Make ready for final jump. Target the Supreme Commander's vessel. The intelligence officer's report came too late for the Dracari to respond. Supreme Commander, the human flagship is targeting. The Thunderbolt appeared directly above the massive command ship, so close that the crews could almost see each other through the viewports. For a fraction of a second, Captain Chen found herself staring at the segmented, chitinous form of the Supreme Commander, whose compound eyes seemed to widen in something like shock. Fire everything, she ordered. The combined assault of railguns, plasma torpedoes, and conventional weapons struck the Dracari command ship with devastating precision. The massive vessel shuddered, secondary explosions cascading along its length as critical systems failed. With their command structure in chaos and nearly a third of their fleet disabled or destroyed, the remaining Dracari ships began to withdraw, their perfect coordination shattered by the unexpected human tactics. They're retreating, Sharma announced, disbelief and exhilaration mingling in his voice. Chen collapsed into her command chair, exhaustion finally catching up with her. Maintain defensive posture. They could regroup. But the Dracari continued their withdrawal, abandoning harvesting operations and fleeing the Nilari system altogether. Analysis would later suggest that the devastating loss of their Supreme Commander, combined with the inexplicable human technology, had shattered the rigid hierarchical command structure the insectoids relied upon. In the observation deck, Telidor's skin pulsed with patterns of blue and gold that the human scientists identified as profound joy. For generations, my people have lived in terror of the Dracari. No species had ever successfully opposed them, until Earth. Admiral Petrov's hologram reappeared on the bridge. Captain Chen, preliminary reports suggest the Dracari have abandoned harvesting operations in 2 adjacent systems as well. They're in full retreat. Chen nodded, allowing herself a small smile. The Prometheus gambit worked. But sir, the phase shift system is at critical stress levels. We'll need extensive repairs before attempting another jump. Understood, Captain. The diplomatic corps is preparing to meet with the Nilari leadership and other species in the region. It seems word of our victory is spreading faster than light. The Admiral's normally stern expression softened slightly. You've done humanity proud, Chen. And you've changed the galaxy's perspective on our species. 3 weeks later, after emergency repairs to the Thunderbolt and the establishment of a permanent human outpost in the Nilari system, Captain Chen sat in a meeting chamber aboard the USC diplomatic vessel Concordia. Around the table sat representatives from 6 different alien species, former victims or targets of the Dracari who had come seeking alliance with Earth. We always believed ourselves alone against the darkness, said Telidor, now appointed as the Nilari ambassador to Earth. We called for help without real hope. And you came, a species we had never met, from a world we barely knew existed. The representative from the crystalline Vori inclined their faceted head. The Dracari called you primitives, yet you defeated what we could not. Not defeated, Chen corrected gently. Not yet. The Dracari will regroup. They'll adapt. But next time, they won't face Earth alone. She looked around the table at the assembled aliens. They'll face all of us united. As the meeting continued, Chen stepped away briefly to the observation deck. Through the viewport, she could see the newly established shipyards where Nilari and human engineers worked side by side, combining technologies and perspectives in ways neither had imagined before. Lieutenant Commander Al-Zahawi joined her. The Nilari engineers are brilliant. The integration of their bioluminescent technology with our phase shift systems could solve our cooldown issues. Chen nodded. And their underwater construction techniques are revolutionizing our hull designs. She paused, watching a shuttle transport between vessels. You know, when we answered the distress call, we were thinking about protecting Earth's future. I never imagined we'd end up forging something entirely new. Al-Zahawi smiled. Isn't that the human way? We came to fight. We stayed to build. In the distance, another diplomatic vessel dropped out of FTL, this one from a species that had thus far remained neutral in the conflict. Word was spreading throughout the sector. When the Nilari cried for help, humanity brought the guns. And then something even more powerful. They brought hope.